Hey Nikki, how are you?
Hey Joel, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I guess just to start it out today, just kind of a general question, I guess. Everybody, I guess, on the outside has their opinions and whatnot, but from the inside, just from your perspective and things, I'm just curious how you would kind of describe the last few months and this season, and just kind of your view on things over the course of the last few months.
Okay. Great question, Joel. First and foremost, let me start by saying that Mississippi State is a championship program. That is the standard. That is the standard. Um, we did not get to the tournament. Okay. That is not our standard. That's not my standard as a coach. That's not my standard as a former player. And obviously, that's not our standard, as an institution. We were marked. We were marked with some challenges. And I'm not using that as an excuse by any means, but the pandemic, along with a new staff, a new system, it added, to the challenges. And, for me, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, our kids are able to navigate through that. But those challenges were real, okay? And not to mention the stops, the starts, and the pauses of the season. It didn't allow us to have any consistency or momentum. Everybody was hit with COVID, but we internally as a team, we got hit with COVID. We went through a period where I was just asking Josh this, we had 2 games in 30 some days. But on the positive, we were able to have some resilience, and we made it through the season. We made it through the season. And, for that, I'm really, really thankful for. But championship teams go through adversity. Championship teams have resiliency. And my job as the head coach and as the leader of this program is to get us back to our championship level. And that is what I'm committed to.
Up next, we'll go to Ben Portnoy.
Nikki, kind of on that, obviously you've been a part of a lot of turnarounds and programs, and whether it's at South Carolina, whether it's at Old Dominion, just in terms of that, when you look at this team in particular, what do you feel like is the step that has to be taken? Is there anything you kind of point to that goes into making that step and heading toward a better 2021, I guess now?
Yeah, great question. I think the first step is, when you're trying to get back to that championship level, is right now at the end of the season, we're in the evaluation process. So we're evaluating, our players. We're evaluating the season. And that is the first step, first and foremost. And, so that's what we're looking at. And then we will go from there. But we want to make sure that, we're getting it right. We're taking our time. Again, because, of COVID and the dynamics of everything, we have to evaluate everything. And that is the first step. The number one thing is, hey, we're in our evaluation process right now. Staff, players, all of those things. That is the first step.
And kind of with that, I know we saw Brittany took a head coaching job, but do you anticipate any other changes on your staff this year, or is that still kind of in the process?
I think, first and foremost, so happy for, Brittany. She was with me when I was at South Carolina, and then she came with me at Old Dominion, and then she came here. And anytime you get a head coaching job and you're wanted, you can't turn that down. And for her as an African American woman, those opportunities come far and few between. It was a tough decision for her. She wasn't looking. They came after her, and it was a great opportunity. So happy for Brittany and for her, the next stage in her life. And as far as my staff, I talk to my staff daily, and I'm always going to encourage them to do what's best for them and their family. But we talk all the time.
Up next, we'll go to Joe Cook.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, Joe.
My question, how much have you learned about yourself as a coach, given the position that you're in and all those challenges you alluded to, how the season went? How much did you learn about yourself?
I think, the one thing that I've learned is, adversity, it makes you stronger. And I've been hit with adversity throughout my life, but it makes you stronger. And the other thing is, more than anything, this season has been about resilience. I mean, we've had to, go through uncharted territory. But at the end of the day, you learn that you have to compete and you have to get better every day. And that's my job. My job right now, I'm focused on getting this program back to championship level, because that's what we're about. It's the standard.
Up next, we'll go to Robbie Falk.
Hey, Coach. Missed out on the NCAA tournament, but y'all had an opportunity to go to the NIT. What went into that decision? Why did you choose to pass up that opportunity and not take part in the WNIT this year?
Well, I talked with the administration, and I made that decision. And again, we want to get back to that championship level. That starts now. And don't want to waste any time. And that process has started right now. And again, the evaluation period, just recapping the season, that to me is the biggest thing in getting us back to where we want to go. And that was it. It was, we want to start right now.
Also, you've had 4 transfers. I think a couple of them took part in senior day.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate any more changes on your roster moving forward? Do you feel like that's settled, or what's your thoughts on where everything is right now in that regard?
I think in terms of, the transfer, it's a part of the norm. But I have to say every player, Robbie, that I've coached, I care for. I care for every player that I've coached for. But, I thank the players that have been a part of this program, and I have wished, them well. And not just them, but, it's not just our program. It's every program, as you can see. 3 and 4 players are transferring at a time. But they've had to navigate through a lot. Anytime it's a coaching change, anytime they've had to navigate. So, you just have to, you wish them well. And then for me, again, my focus right now is on us getting back to that championship level.
Up next, we'll go to John Sokoloff.
Hey, Nikki, kind of along those lines with Rakia, do you kind of expect her to be back next year as well?
I can tell you that I have players that are committed to staying. I'm not going to get into specifics, but I have players that are committed to staying with this program and committed to me and committed to our vision, right now. Looking forward to getting through this evaluation period, because last year COVID didn't allow us to have a summer. It did not. We didn't start until September. So now, I'm excited to have a full summer with our players to build a base, both offensively and defensively, that would allow us to play the way, I want us to play, because that wasn't given to us. And right now, I have players that are committed. That could change. But right now I do, and I'm looking forward to the summer and building our championship, getting us back to that championship level. And excited to have a summer with this group.
Do you have, you said you have players, obviously you don't have to get into any names, but roughly how many committed do you think you have, coming back?
I have 8 players that are committed.
Okay. Okay, cool. And you mentioned before COVID and all of the stops and not being able to get any momentum with your team. that sounds like a big obstacle to run into. Would you say, and you kind of alluded to it, but would you say that was the biggest obstacle you ran into this year? And what was kind of your biggest one from a coaching perspective, not COVID related, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a big obstacle, not just for me, but for every coach. I mean, even for you guys, we had to navigate through some things. But, again, that new system, new staff, I mean, it just added to the challenges. We were not a veteran team that had been together. We were not. And I think when I took the job, my number one priority was to build some relationships with our players, and I had to do that through Zoom. I had to have help with that. That's a challenge, when you don't, recruit players and players come here. They have an idea of how they're going to fit into the style of play based on how they were recruited by the old staff and things like that. So all of those things were, just challenges, coming in that we didn't have to just mend out with the summer, to just have a base. So those were some big challenges.
And the last one from me. So now it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel with all of this nonsense. So it seems like you guys are really going to be able to have kind of that full off season, hopefully some more in-person stuff. You have the players that are coming back that are committed to you, along with some more of, your own players coming in here. All that being said, do you think you have the resources in terms of roster and everything else to get this team to where fans have their expectations of the NCAA tournament next year?
Well, like I said, when in my opening statement, Mississippi State is the championship program. I mean, that's the standard. And I'm excited about this off season, really looking forward to now getting into the strength and conditioning part to allow us to play a certain way. Just being able to have time with each player is significant. It's huge. It's huge for them. It's huge for us. It allows us to develop, more from a relationship standpoint and just continue to develop their game and them see themselves, and how they're going to be able to help themselves and help us, get to that championship level. This program was built on blue collar players. I'm a blue collar player. I did what it took to win. That was my claim to fame. I'm a blue collar player. And this program was built on blue collar players that play with the chip on their shoulder. They just have a desire to win. They play with this intensity. And we get to do that. We get to build that base, this summer. And it will help us. Those things will help us get back to that championship level that is expected, and that's what we're known for.
Up next, we'll go to Tyler Horka.
Hey, Nikki, back to the theme about the roster. I'm just curious, with players leaving, and then you talk about there are players committed, but maybe some who are on the fence. How has that kind of affected the collective mindset within the locker room, and how would you kind of describe where everyone's head's at kind of going into this pivotal offseason?
Well, I think, like I said, the first step to getting to that championship level is we're in that evaluation stage, and we're meeting with our players. So they have a clear understanding of what championship looks like, so they are committed to that. We will have a summer. Our summer is going to be different, I don't know. I don't know who's still going to be here after the summer. I don't know that. I know moving forward what we are about, what we're trying to get back. And we have a foundation that we have to build. So, it's not about talking, it's about doing, and it is about that plan of action. So we will have a plan of action because we will be together and we will have that foundation. And, in terms of the roster, that's what the transfer portal is. We are going to get players in here that are of high character, blue collar, and can help us win championships.
And then just one more from me, back to the theme of the WNIT. I'm curious how the players kind of took to your decision. Obviously, maybe they want to play more basketball, maybe they don't. Just kind of curious what that conversation was like with them when you told them of your decision.
I think, the biggest thing is when I talked to our administration, I made that decision, and it is about us, starting right now to get back to that championship level. And they want to win. And that's where it starts. And we're in that process.
Up next, we'll go back to Ben.
Nikki, a little bit off transfer portal stuff. I mean, obviously you've got some scholarships to play with and
Yeah.
got a good class coming in and Kenesha already on campus.
Yes.
In terms of that, what do you kind of see as your plan for the transfer portal and how important do you feel it is to bring in maybe a couple of players and do you have any kind of number there you want to play with or anything like that?
I think it's very important. And I think, as coaches, we all talk, it's a gamut of emotions when it comes to this transfer portal, just because last year they were awarded, the COVID year. And then this year's one-time transfer. You don't know if they're going to be able to play right away, but, the committee will make that decision here within the next month. But we're going to get players that fit our mold, that are high character, hard-nosed, blue-collar, and can help us win championships. That's it. And there are a lot of players, in the portal. And I'm not just, we have to have a certain player here. We do. And based off of what this program is built on, I have to have a certain player here. So, but at the end of the day, we're going to bring high character kids in here, blue collar players that can help us win championships.
Up next, we'll go to Joe Cook.
Yeah, Coach. We were talking about players in the roster during this year. How did you see some players develop? Saw Maya Taylor really take a step up in scoring, something we haven't seen from her in a while. Of course, Jessica Carter doing her thing. So just talk about the players that did play this year, how they developed, and maybe how you can build all that going forward as well.
Well, definitely. Again, still in that evaluation, and it's not just talking with them; it's going down, breaking down film. We're just a couple days in, but I thought Maya had a good year on and off the floor. She found her voice. If you look at her numbers across the board, they went up in every aspect. But not just for her on the floor, just understanding how to have a voice, within our team, but also she found herself off the court. She's just more than a basketball player, and the things that she is evolving in, I'm just really happy for her. But she's one player that sticks out. But there's so many players that just continue to get better and develop in areas that I needed them to get better at.
And quickly, my last question. I saw Don Stilley's tweet, showing support for you. And I know about coming from championship level programs, but just how was that public show support when everyone saw that the year didn't go quite as probably you expected, coming into Mississippi State this first year?
It just speaks volumes of who she is as a person, what she stands for. And we go way back from our Olympic days to just sitting side by side. She knows what I'm about each and every day. I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for my foundation and where I started out and the people that I've been around. I've been around winners that have prepared me for this situation, and it just meant a lot just to have that support. But that's who she is, and just really thankful for her and all the people that have supported me and that will continue to support me. So she's not the only one that have been supportive in it, but that just really meant a lot.
All right, we'll end with Joel Coleman.
Nikki, just going back to the NIT for 1 second, if we could. I know you've said a couple times now that it was just a decision made to kind of go ahead and flip the page and get started on next year and moving forward. Just how specifically does that help? Is it just allowing the girls that are ready to transfer to do that? Is it you can go ahead and start looking into the portal and just, I guess specifically, just how does it kind of give you a jump start to a new year?
For me, it's not so much about them going into the portal. It is about us. It is about having conversations with them where they are physically, where they are mentally, again, we had to navigate through a lot, this year. And we want to start now in getting us back to that championship level. You got to have conversations now. You got to see where these players are now. And that was it, and it's a lot that go into it. It's not just our coaches, it's administration, it's strength and conditioning. It is now. We have to have a plan now, because the goal is, to get back to that championship level, because again, Mississippi State is a championship program. That is the standard. That's the standard.